We are going to start off with your name. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with today?
My name is Nicole. I am from Latvia. Uh, so I'm from a small country which is located in Baltic states. Yes, so in Northern Europe. It's located between Lithuania and Estonia. So, yeah.
Nice. Guys, welcome to the show. Ooh, this has been a big thing. I've been thinking about this for a while now. And you are the very first guest on the show. So, it's an honor for me to have you as the first guest. The whole point of this podcast is to make everybody feel comfortable, no judgment, it's mostly for LVAD patients, transplant patients, nurses who took care of LVAD and transplant patients. Everybody have a different story. And when I got my transplant, I had so many nurses and male nurses that actually got into the field of taking care of people like us because they grew up with some kind of heart defect. And, it's always cool to hear everybody's story. And that's really the point of this podcast, is to learn everybody's story and just give everybody a chance to tell a story. Everybody's story is so unique, and from the smallest detail to the biggest detail. So we are going to, let you tell us your story. That's what we are here for, to hear everything. And I definitely have some questions because I know I'm not the only one who went through certain things. So you can take it away whenever you want.
Okay, thanks for having me. I'm also really honored because I have been following you for some time also myself, and it's just when you messaged me, I was, not to say just happy, but I was so positive about being the first one here. So it's really an honor, and I'm really happy to share my journey with others and help also, because that's kind of, I think, also one of the reasons why I'm doing it. Yes, because I want to help also others to understand, or maybe patients who are preparing for the same journey as me. So definitely will help out with that.
Of course.
Okay. I would probably start telling my story as I grew up. Yes, so from the childhood, I was pretty much a normal child. I lived a normal life. I joined rhythmic gymnastics, I did dancing, all that kind of stuff. So all went well until I was about 12 years old. So I started to have some slight bit more changes. So I had arrhythmias, and they weren't very heart palpitations, but they weren't very serious. So nothing concerning that much. But I started to take pills, like it was one pill, I think. And at that time, they had diagnosed me with hypertrophy. Yes, so I had like a cardiomyopathy, but just like hypertrophy. Yes, so they didn't really investigate my disease. Yes, so at that time, so they thought it's just simple heart disease, like heart failure. And I stopped doing sports when I was around 12, completely. I couldn't run. I had to wait for buses if I was late, which was for me, it was pretty tough as a teenager, because as a teenager, you want to fit in everywhere. Of course, you want to hang out, run, and so on. And sometimes I would just miss out a lot of stuff, but I didn't lose a spark. I was like doing normal things. I was studying, so all that. So I was still a pretty normal life. And then the arrhythmias got a bit worse, like a bit. And they decided to do an ablation. Yes, so to put the heart rhythm back to normal as it was. Yes, so to make it a bit better. It was successful. They did the procedure when I was 13. So it was rather successful. I felt better. It was good. And then I even got to live 3 years abroad. I went, yes, to study to another country, and really, looking back then, it was the best time I've ever had, I think. And I just did all the, yeah, I don't know, just all the normal stuff. So I was like in the school, I was studying, and I finished school. I had all those parties, like this normal life that everyone has. But then I returned back to study here at university, yes, back to Latvia. And there began really some big changes for me. So the first major change was that I started to have atrial fibrillation. So that was a big game changer for me. So I wasn't familiar with it. So I couldn't really recognize it or understand what was going on. Yes. So at that time, they tried to do the ablation again. Yes, to put the heart rhythm back to normal, but they didn't succeed yet because it was already too far and it wasn't going anywhere. And also, like the medications, they were helping, but at the same time, I was getting worse. I could feel it wasn't that fun anymore. So yeah, and then I was feeling rather bad, I would say, like from 2019 until 2021. Yes, so this period, 2 years, I wasn't willing like fully. I had really had to pull myself to get out of bed, to prepare food. So it was hard for me to walk. I started having a shortness of breath. So it was difficult for me to walk, to breathe. Also, many heart palpitations because of the atrial fibrillation. Altogether, it was too much for me. And I still studied at that time, and I worked. Yeah, so it was just too many things at the same time. So so what was the main advantage of the whole these 2 years was that I was studying while it was COVID time. Yes, so during the pandemic, it was good only for one reason, because I could study. So I could study online, and I didn't need to go anywhere, and it helped me to finish my studies. Yes, but I was at the graduation. I felt very bad. Like I was like at my lowest point, I think. And they had also put a pacemaker, did a surgery pacemaker to make sure that I'm doing well, that there aren't any shocks. Meanwhile, yeah, I then the journey of the heart transplant itself, it began in 2021 August. So I was put on a heart transplant list. I was very glad to hear that, but I was also very weak at that point. Yeah, so I was both really content to hear it, and inside, yeah, I was feeling rubbish, and the main question was what to do next. So how could I wait for the heart, of course? Yeah, so I was very weak, and I've been still having the same atrial fibrillations all over again and again, and they decided to do an Lvad surgery, which was, I think, the most unknown thing for me throughout the whole journey, because I have heard about pacemakers, I have heard about different arrhythmias, like pills and so on that could help me, but this was something that I have never heard of. So, yeah, the first response was, of course, I will just think about it. Yes, I even didn't agree on it immediately, because not to lie, I wasn't like, yeah, I was like, yeah, we should definitely do it. I will feel better. I was scared. I was scared to death because I knew of the complications that could happen after the surgery, and I was really afraid of it, like tremendously. And then at the same time, I was very glad, because a lot of people who also were Lvad patients, they came to me, and the doctors came to me and educated me about the Lvad, the whole system, how it works, how does it help the heart, how they also told me, now I also could see the people, how they feel after the surgery, how they are doing. So that gave me a big hope that one day I would also walk like them the same way, and I would breathe, and I wouldn't have these heart palpitations and really it's annoying sounds all over the head and the heart area. So I said yes, and the surgery was on 2nd of December at the end of 2021. Yeah, so it's like 1 year, 4 months approximately. So they did the
surgery. Yeah, I agree. Because for me, it was kind of the same situation, as far as like the Lvad wise, because I was playing basketball, and I remember like feeling so tired. I was so tired, and I was like drenched in sweat. So I went home and I was like, maybe I'm dehydrated, and I started drinking like 6 bottles of water, orange juice, and I had to work the very next morning. So around 5 in the morning, my throat kind of felt like I was wearing a tight shirt around it. And I woke my wife up and I was like, look, I don't feel so good. I got to go to the hospital. And we rushed to the hospital, and one of the nurses or doctors came and was like, have anybody ever told you something was wrong with your heart? And I was just like, well, no, I'm 21, no. And it's like, yeah, you have heart failure. And honestly, it didn't surprise me because growing up, I didn't always choose the best foods to eat. You know, it was always like 30 burgers, or like literally every morning in high school, like it's like 30 burgers from White Castle, and this was an everyday thing. So of course that wasn't helping, and I was just not surprised. And they told me something about an Lvad, and I was just like, what is that? But at the same time, it's funny because I was watching a movie, Iron Man, and when they came in and kind of educated me and showed me what it looked like, I was like, yeah, let's do it. I didn't even think twice. Like, I don't know why I didn't think twice. I just like in my head, I was like, I'm gonna be a superhero. Let's do it. Like, let's do this. And their response was, I never seen somebody so happy to receive a Lvad. And I was like, yeah, you never met nobody like me. So yeah, it's kind of it was a big thing. And so when it was time to do the surgery, nobody told me it was gonna be like that. Like, because me initially thinking, I thought they was going to make a small little cut, where my heart is, and kind of find a way to stuff it in, or whatever the case may be, and put the Lvad in. Nobody told me I was going to have batteries hanging out of me and cords hanging out of me, and they were going to cut down the middle. So I was so excited going into the surgery, and waking up, I just like see all this stuff, and I look down, I'm like, why didn't nobody tell me this was going to happen? And my wife was like, I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't want to scare you. And so I just looked at her and I was like, huh. And that process was amazing. Like, as far as healing wise, like it was very different. Like getting used to the batteries, it was so exciting. Like it's kind of like a kid waking up for Christmas. And I don't know why, but I never heard of an Lvad. So I'm like, okay, I got an Lvad. Like, and certain medications, when you're in pain, they give to you. And so I just started like singing or rapping, and I said something about like Lvad dad, and the nurse came and was like, what did you say? I was like, I don't know. What did I say? And she kind of reminded me what I said. I think I want to make a YouTube channel named Lvad Dad, and just educate the world, because it was just something that I felt like was right. Like I tried gaming, I tried all these other things, and with Lvad, it's like, okay, like they don't tell you everything, like they can't say they know how we feel because they don't have Lvads. The ones who know how we truly feel are the ones who have Lvads. And I was like, I'm gonna change the world, and for 2 years, it was a lot of tests, a lot of back and forth in the hospital. And at the time I had my son, so I was always like, like I have a reason to go for a transplant, and it was a lot of tests, like a lot of tests. I passed out maybe doing half of the tests. And it was like this long journey. And for the most part, I loved my LVAD. Like I loved it. You know, it became it's still part of who I am. I even kept some of my batteries, and they actually let me keep my LVAD pump. So they're at the moment they're cleaning it out, and then they're going to send it back to me. And so I want to put it in a glass case and kind of like display it like this is my museum of what I've been through, you know. And so recently, as far as the heart transplant thing, like I had like 3 infections with the LVAD, and I remember coming home one day, and I was putting all my packages away, and I was like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna start working. Um, and so I wake up strapped in an ambulance truck, and I'm just like, what's going on? And it was like, Mr. Brown, we're here, and I'm like, yeah, I don't remember this. And so when I get to the hospital, I realized like I had pee in my pants, and I was just like, what? Like I'm like, what? And so they was like, yeah, you had a seizure. And I was like, I've never had a seizure a day before in my life. So my wife comes in crying. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, what's going on? You had a seizure in your sleep. And I was like, why can't I remember any of this? And what I'm about to say may sound weird, but I was like, did you record it? Because I'm pretty sure YouTube up to see this, you know. And she was like, really, that's what you asked, that's what you were about right now. I was like, what? I just want to see how I look having a seizure. And it was just like, doctors came and like, you always have this smile on your face. And I'm just like, yeah, like, you know, like it's what we make it to be. And so like I'm just always like, for the most part, a happy person, you know, like. And so there's like, you're really sick, you're gonna need this transplant, you know, your ejection fraction is at 5%. And so during that time, it's like you have to stay here until you get a transplant. And so I was like, okay, like, you know, eventually I'll be back home with my wife and my son. I won't have an LVAD no more. Because as babies love to pull on stuff, and you know, it's most likely how I got an infection, just like playing with my son and just, you know, being a father. So um, I didn't really care about the infection, I guess, but I was like, okay, like going home to my son, it's gonna be cool, you know, like, and so, you know, incident happened, and it was literally around the same time I was getting ready to get my heart transplant. So the incident happened with him, and we donated his heart to, I think, a 2-year-old in Canada. So um, literally a month later after he passed away, I got a call that I was still in the hospital, and they gave me this big hospital room and things like that. So I had a PlayStation, Netflix, and I was okay. So, well, for the most part. And so they give me the call literally a month later after he passed away. I couldn't go to his funeral because they didn't want to risk it. They had bumped me on the list even more. So it was like any day I could get the transplant. So that was a big decision. And I was like, ultimately, my son never understood really much I was telling him because he was only 3. So like, but if I'm gonna do this, like, I know that he would want me to continue on it. You're a big journey to, you know, just go through with it. And so I had to make the difficult choice of like, okay, like I won't be able to go to the funeral and things like that. And so a month later, I got the call, and I wasn't really, I was excited, but I wasn't, you know, like, and of course, like prayers to the Dolan's family, and, you know, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm not grateful because I am, but it was just like my son had passed away, and then like heart transplant, you know, at the same time. So it's like the whole point of me staying in the hospital was to get the transplant, come home to him and my wife. So it's like taking him out of the equation, you know, my wife is at the hospital with him. So it's kind of like when I got the call, I was excited, but I wasn't. And at that point, I think I was just like, okay, it's not up to me no more. You know what I'm saying? Like when I get on that table, it's up to God, and you know, to God, to guide the doctors. And if I don't make it, I'll be with my son. And if I make it, you know, if I wake up from a transplant, you know, it's kind of like it's meant to be. My story's not finished, you know. And so I end up waking up. I don't remember like in between, like, you know, the whole. I know a lot of people say they seen the light. I didn't see it. Like I just closed my eyes and woke up. It's like a blink of an eye. And waking up, they told my wife there was some complications. I was bleeding, so we got to open him up again. And after that, I just remember waking up in so much pain. And of course, every good story has like a downside to it. And my downside was um, I got addicted to the medication. That was my biggest thing because, like I said, like dealing with my son's death and just got a heart transplant and in so much pain, mentally, physically, emotionally. It's like you're sitting in the hospital bed and all you can stare at is the hospital door, the nasty food that they provide, and a sibling. That's all you get, you know. And so I wasn't able to move around because it was fresh. So I just went to all the medications I could through the IV to like numb me out so I don't feel nothing, pain wise, you know, physically, emotionally. So I would shut myself off. And it got to a point where it got so bad. My psychologist came in, and every time he came in and talked to me, I was just like out of the loop of everything, you know. And at one point, acceptance is the first step. It's like I like to say, in order to get over a problem, you got to accept it as a problem. And I was like, this is not how my story is supposed to be. This is not how it ends, you know. And um, it was a lot of strength. It takes a lot of strength to get over things like that. And so physical therapy tried to walk me and it just wasn't looking good. And it's like, this is not the Dentra that we know, you know, and you're always so happy. And, you know, and it was just every day new people who or new doctors, new nurses. These are the same people who have been taking care of me for 3 years plus. And just finding out that like that was my son because he had made the news and everything. And so many people like, why does he look familiar? And, you know, so many people follow my TikTok and there was a lot of big things going on around then. And so I wasn't posting as much. Like I tried to leave the media stuff alone for a little bit. And somebody found me on TikTok and it just went from there. And, you know, people like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that was your son. And hearing that, it's like, I understand people are really, really, really sad. But it's like, for me, hearing that every day for like a month, you know, 2 months straight, it gets exhausting when you're just strapped in the bed or you're stuck in the bed, you know? So I was just like, I got more to do. Like the story's not over, you know, and I got to go home one day. And still to this day, I'm not even ready for the real world. Like I don't go out as much. I don't like going out as much because I get paranoid. And I know a lot of people ask me certain things like, should I go for a transplant? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's what you feel comfortable with. And I like to tell people that all the time because for me personally, the grass is greener with the transplant because of what I've been through. And it was a promise I made to my son. Like, you know, like I'm an elder dad, but I could be an even more better dad when I get the transplant, you know? And so that was my reason. Like, okay, like I made my promise. I got to go through with it. And physically wise and all the medications that I take, it's a lot, like way more than I did with Lvad. I think it's probably for me, like right now, for the first year, like 300 plus pills a week. And so fingers, like certain things, like my pinky finger, I still can't feel anything. I twitch a lot, you get the shakies, and it's tremors and stuff like that for medication. Take seizure medication. I do all these medications, and it's a lot. And so I like to tell people, everybody's story is different. Everybody's story is special. Everybody has scars, you know, and I think it's okay to show off the scars and rock the scars, you know, because it's who we are, it's our story. It set us apart from the world and it brings us together as like a group, you know, because not many people have Lvad as well. A lot of people do, but it's not as common as, you know, like a lot of people don't know about it. And so my first question for you, actually, Nicole, is what is if you could say, like, what's the word? How can I put this? For you, what's the worst thing about having an Lvad? Or what's the most difficult thing about having an Lvad?
Good question. There are, of course, many things which you might come across when you have an Lvad, yes, after surgery. The thing which I really not fan, not really a fan of taking blood thinners. Yeah, that's my like top the first place, I think, because yeah, I have had really bad complications after the Lvad surgery. I'm not gonna lie that it's all like it was all perfect. Yes, after the surgery, and I just went on, and I had a perfect fight afterwards. Yes, it wasn't like that. I had really major complications. I had been bleeding. I had a really big blood loss, so I had blood transfusions for like 6 months, and then eventually my doctors, like surgeons and cardiologists, said that that's enough. Like that's enough. We have to do something. So they helped me and fix this problem. Because they had also like two drugs, like two blood thinners. They removed one of them, and right now it's pretty much stable. It's fine. It's okay. But it took really long time to figure it out because I was basically after the Lvad surgery. I spent 7 months in the hospital. I was like going there, coming back to home, but I'm not really counting those days because it was, you just come here and you feel again really bad, and you have to go back and they have to again do blood transfusions and so on. So it's like it was a really tough period after the Lvad surgery. I realized a lot of things, like the realization of having an Lvad and the gift of the Lvad doesn't come like that when you like for me it didn't come the first day like that you are like, okay, I was really happy, but it came gradually to me that this is something that was given to me and it was implanted, yes, and I have to learn how to live with it. So, and that's kind of the at the same time the hard part and the beautiful part of like figuring it out, because I'm still here, and I was really thankful for that, but I was also struggling. So I had it was really difficult for me at that time to maybe be thankful every day, because I was struggling a lot and I felt bad almost every day. My stomach hurt and so on, and all along my heart was also like it was fine. It was a lot better when it used to be before the Lvad surgery, but it was also deteriorating a bit after all the blood loss and all the things. So kind of for me, that's maybe one of the worst things that are there. But it's really, I think it's individual. Yes, not like it has to be definitely the blood thinners for everybody else. For some people, these are I know some people that have the infections really bad, for example. Yes, and your story also, like it's really different kind of stuff that affects like in different bodies. So for me, it will be definitely blood thinners after the
course.
surgery.
I don't know if you have a question. I get the question so much. I think people are more interested in this question for me than they are my actual story. A lot of people ask me, do I have difficulties with my marriage or dating when I had the LVAD? And that's a big thing. That plays a big part. So the question I have for you is, do you feel like it would be for LVAD patients? Do you feel like it's difficult for, let's say, an LVAD patient and a normal person to kind of date or get into a relationship? Because a normal person who don't really understand the LVAD don't understand that there's going to be a lot of appointments. There's going to be a lot of chargers and battery packs around, and certain ways that we have to shower and carry the bags and all this extra stuff. And so do you feel like there definitely would be difficulties in a LVAD patient and a normal person dating? Because it's a lot to adjust to from both sides,
I think it really depends on the person who is next to you, because if you have really supportive person right to you, there's basically, I think almost no issues. Like you understand, like your partner understands you, and I'm also really thankful. I have my boyfriend who is always caring for me, and it's like if the person is there just for you, not for your, heart issues or Lvad, it's just there. And I think the best part is that there are people who care and who don't, who uh, for whom are not important things like, for example, heart failure. So it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't change their thoughts, yes, about you, how you, I don't know, like your daily life. So they're just there to help you. And I think it's really important. And I really advise everyone to, if you don't have a partner, yes, but you should have a person, yes, at least one person who cares about you a lot. Because I think for LVAD patients, yes, it's really important. It's vital to have a person whom you can speak to, even, yes, not even maybe help, but even maybe speak, yes. So it's very important that you have a support, yes. And then, of course, you will always need some help, yes, like physically, like, I don't know, maybe sometimes you're not feeling good, you can't prepare food, yes, and you need to ask somebody, or you're so tired that you can't clean the house, yes, so it's completely fine. And I think it's really important that you seek for help always, yes, if you, like, you speak up, you have to do this for yourself's sake, because otherwise, I think it's very frightening to end up like alone. In that situation, I really feel for the people who have these kind of situations to end up completely alone. But it's very, of course, it's very good if you have another person next to you, always living and helping. So I think that it really depends. And usually I wouldn't waste time on the people who are not really interested in me as a person, just as a person, but are only looking, for kind of stuff like this. So, and looking maybe what kind of wires I have there hanging out, yes, or anything like that. So, of course, people are not familiar with it, as you also, Dentro, said. So even at the hospital, I think, and I don't know how it is in your hospitals, for example, in our hospitals, even in the ICUs, yes, they are like, they pull out these eyes, and like their faces are like they're stoned because they have never seen the LVAD. It's like their first time. If you go down there to the ICU, they're like, you're standing there and they're like looking at you like you're some kind of really literally Iron Man or Iron Woman, and they don't understand what kind of things you're carrying with you around. So,
yeah, certain things, like I like to go to conventions and meet celebrities and get autographs and all these things. And when I go out in public, when I had the L pad, sometimes I would just wear the bag. And I get a lot of like, oh, I have that bag. And I was like I'm thinking that they're talking about like some designer bag. And I was like, I don't have no designer bag. I don't really care for that stuff. It's, the LVAD bag. And this was the day I actually got married to my wife through the court. And I met like two people with an LVAD. One was actually coming out of the courtroom while I was going in, and oh, we got the same bag. And I was like, oh, that's so dope to like see in public. Like a lot of more people are feeling more confident about it and things like that. And like you said, like it's good to have that, that partner that understands, because in some Facebook groups that I'm in about the LVAD, I got the most concerning thing is like people always ask me, relationships with the LVAD don't work with somebody who don't understand. And my wife doesn't have the LVAD, but she totally understands. Your boyfriend doesn't have the LVAD, but he totally understands. And it's all about the person, the partner that you have. And even some things like with a transplant, it's not all like you get a transplant, go okay, because anything can go wrong if you miss a dose of medication. If you, anything can happen, like certain things you cannot eat. Like I used to like my steak medium. Now I have to eat it well done, and it's a lot of changes that you have to make. So I can't eat, well, right now I can't eat strawberries, you know what I'm saying, because the seeds and stuff like that. And it's a lot to adjust to. And I remember during the transplant class, it's actually funny because it's an hour class, just like an LVAD, and they explain to you things you can do for the first like year or month or first couple months. And throughout the whole hour class, um, she's telling me things I can do, can't eat. She like for the first 2 to 3 months, no kind of happy time, you know what I'm saying, with your partner. And she just like when she said that, I immediately stopped the class. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. You telling me, you know, I gotta wait 3 months. I already been in the hospital 3 months. So that was like that's 6 months in total. So I was like, yeah, not, I don't think that can happen. I don't think anybody like it's just not gonna happen. She's like, oh, like, just try your best. Did I try my best? Yes, I did. Did I go the full? No. It's just hard. Like it's difficult, like being away from your partner that long and finally being back home and you feel like so comfortable, you get that best sleep, that first good meal that's not hospital food. Even though it's better, but a lot of things do change you like when you get a transplant from my perspective. Like I think for me, the my favorite thing is I call myself a fruitarian now because for me, water and fruit taste so much better because it's like, okay, it, the taste of it is delicious because having in the hospital, when they tell you you can't eat or drink nothing after midnight, I had to go through that for like 4 days in a row, 5 days in a row sometimes. And I'm like, when I get out of here, I'm having like 3 double cheeseburgers. And I'm like, nah, I just got a new heart transplant. I can't do that yet. So drinking water is probably the best thing now. Like me and my wife, we run through maybe a case of like 48 water bottles in maybe a day and a half. That's just how much water we drink. Um, and fruit tastes so much better because it's like taking it in. It's like you taking some life in from these fruit. You taking some life in from the water that you drink. Like I'm not gonna say I don't have a diet Coke every now and then, but it's mostly water. I maybe have like a diet Coke maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? And I think that for me that's the beautiful part of it. And I always like to say enjoy the little things in life because a lot of people don't understand like a heart transplant, any kind of transplant is a big thing, but like the heart transplant is a big thing. Getting something implanted into your heart is a big thing. And just like enjoying the little things, like you can get an LVAD and you could just move around. You could be sad about your life all the time, or you make that stand where it's like I'm different. I accept it. I own it. You know what I'm saying? And then I think that's always the mentality that I had. Just because like in high school, like I didn't have friends like that. I guess like relatives that went to school, yes. But it was only like three of us hanging out all the time, 3 or 4 of us hanging out all the time. And so in high school, I was voted most likely to succeed. And I never knew, like, I kind of felt a pressure after that. I was like, what do I want to do in my life? And it just kind of came for me. So a lot of people see this like, oh, I'm sorry you got heart failure. And, I take it as like, thank you. But I don't regret it. Everything happened for a reason. And it just made me see like, enjoy the little things because I was not eating fruits and vegetables and drinking enough water before the LVAD or the transplant. So now it's like, when I had the LVAD, I was eating some fruit and vegetables, very minimum. When I got the transplant, it's like, that's all I created is fruits, vegetables, water. I'm still healing. So as of right now, I think it's maybe 4 months with the transplant. I still can't do not one push-up, which it takes time, so I'm into like meditating and things like that. So in my time, like I try to learn a little bit more about meditating every day, and just yoga. So there's a lot of things that I want to show the world and people with LVADs and transplant patients because I feel like I don't want to give people false hope, but I want to give you options because like I said, like a lot of people ask me, should I go for a transplant? And like I said, I tell people, it all depends on what you're comfortable with. You got to see it from both sides. Like, are you comfortable with your LVAD? And Do you feel like you don't want to get rid of it to avoid another surgery? Or, you know what I'm saying? Because another surgery is going to hurt. Uh, my scar from the Lvad, it was long, but now it's even longer and more scars. And, I take everything that comes with it because it's a part of my journey, and everybody's story and journey is very different. And eventually, like, one of the main things that I want to do is swim. I want to swim again because I love swimming. My son used to love swimming. And it just sucks because that's how he passed away. He drowned. So the day before that incident happened, that was my last time talking to him actually. And I said, when I got out the hospital, I'll take you swimming, okay? And he's like, okay, and good night, love you, and things like that. So whenever now I don't look forward to taking that first swim because I feel like I'm gonna have a panic attack, which I have a lot of anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and syncope episodes just from stress and things like that. So I have to be very careful because getting into the water, I can feel okay 1 second, and then 30 seconds later, I can go into panic mode and I drown. You know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of a lot to take in, and it's still something I have to do, but I'm not rushing it because that first swim is not just for me; it's for me and my son together. And so I even started working on my own comic book and things like this, this is just the podcast is just one little small thing that's out of the big things that's going on. And the small things are the biggest things for me. I have a thing called Lvad Versus where I try old things again now that I have a transplant, and I try new things for the first time to see if I like it, where I do it again. And I think one of the things for me is eventually I'm going to go skydiving for the first time. It's always been on my bucket list. And so would I do it again, and think just certain things, to show people if there's a will, there's a way, and you can't give up now, and never stop being a soldier because you were wounded in war. That's what I like to think about and live off of. And like I said, enjoy the little things, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people who don't have LVADs and never had to deal with this, it's nothing against. I just feel like there should be more enjoyment in life for those kind of people because you ain't even necessarily gotta have an LVAD. Somebody who's who lost a leg or need a liver or a kidney or whatever the case may be. It just shows you to really enjoy life. Most importantly, the small things. I never got stung by a bee a day before my life. I'm looking forward to that. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm looking forward to get stung by a bee so I can run around and show people look, I got stung by a bee. These are some of the things that I have to do. I don't want to. Everybody has to pass away one day, but it's it matters what you're doing while you're alive. And I never felt more alive than with the LVAD and the transplant. It just makes me see everything different, taste everything different. Even at restaurants, I think that's the weirdest thing. Whenever a waiter or a waitress come up to me and ask what would I like to drink, can I get 3 waters and that's it? And they're no one no soda. Just 3 waters. I'm good. And I end up drinking everybody else's water because nobody really drink the water at the table. So I'm you gotta drink that, just pass it over here, And as far as with Lasix, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the Lasix, the diuretic that make you have to use the washroom a lot. For me, that's probably the most difficult because even with a transplant, I drink so much water and it sucks because I'll be at a restaurant and I'm I don't like walking past people because I'm still trying to get used to that. There's other people in the world. So I drink maybe 4 glasses of water and I really have to go use the washroom. Should I hold it? But I realized I'm not as great as holding it anymore as I used to be when I was younger. So now I'm 26. I had the LVAD since I was 22. And so I got my transplant when I was 25 and I turned 26 in the hospital. So I realized I'm getting old. I'm not I'm not a young Thundercat no more. So it's kind of now everything is different. But I think that's the beauty of it, and just just certain things, But another question I do want to ask, and I think this is another important question too for you. If you had to give some advice to any new LVAD patients or somebody who know nothing about LVAD, and they're searching on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook about what's with an LVAD and certain things, what advice would you give a new LVAD patient, like starting off? Because, like you said in the beginning, you never heard of an LVAD, and I never heard of it either. I was like, what is a Lvad? That's why I used to call it a Lvad. What is that? And so it's a learning process, and I didn't know anything about it until I had to go through it. And so I feel like it's best to get people prepared for what's to come. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely a big change. So if you had to give new LVAD patients any advice, what would that advice be?
Yeah, definitely. I would advise the same thing that helped me was to ask for an Lvad patient current that has already had the surgery to come and just so it's like you can see it in person, not just from the pictures, because from the pictures, I remember myself when I opened it the first time, it was like I didn't like I could see the picture, but I couldn't imagine how it would be in my body. Like you can't really imagine it. But I think it's better if the person with the Lvad, like if the Lvad patient comes and shows you, and it's more. I would say it's more accurate. Like you can see at least how it is like implanted and the batteries and the wires, so you can understand how you'll be like using this device. So that would definitely, I think, help as one. Of course, you can always go to the Lvad groups to search. Yes, if you need, and if you have any specific questions, you can just Google and search like any problem or anything that's interesting for you. That's a quick way how to know. And I think it's also good because then a lot of people write there and their situations, and then you can figure it out for yourself what would be like approximately the answer, yes, or Google it also, and then talk with the surgeons, of course, with your team, with the doctors. If you are in doubt, yes, that's of course everybody go to that before the surgery. Otherwise, I also advise to prepare a list of things that you would like to do in the future. For me, it helped a lot, even though I spent like 7 months in the hospital after the surgery. But I was still planning. I was really excited to do all the things once I was out to work, to study, to go somewhere, to meet with my friends whom I have missed, because it's really like it's a long time when you're away in the hospital. For me personally, 7 months, when you're just sitting in the walls, like there's no one else, and it's just really, I would say, really lonely. So yeah. Yeah, is everything
Oh,
fine?
sorry. Someone had called my phone at the worst possible time.
No, it's fine, but it's still recording. It's fine.
Oh,
Okay, I can just start from this. No, where can I start? Okay, I will. Oh, I forgot. I forgot completely what I was talking about.
are you
Okay,
saying
fine.
oh, sorry, calling again. That you were
Yeah, I see that you have like a bug or something. I don't know what's
yeah, it's because I'm getting another call. But more so like when I'm gonna wait to this call, like just go to voicemail so they can leave a voicemail at least.
Oh,
But it's you were saying like being away for that long in the hospital, like 7 months.
yeah, right. So yeah, being away for 7 months in the hospital, it's definitely very depressing, and I needed a lot of support. I also had a therapist, and meanwhile, so she came to me and we talked when my like my family couldn't come, or my friends. So definitely we always need support there. So yeah, it's the best thing I think to do is to just to plan out for the future and see what you can do. Anything, basically anything. If you wanted to, I don't know, to go to cinema, for example, that's just simple because when just a simple wish, yes. But after the time you have spent in the hospital, it feels like, I don't know, it feels like something unreal even when you go out there, and just simple things like that. So you can just plan out simple things like that and see if you have any future plans. So I think it definitely helps you to think about something positive. Yes, whether the Lvad is your bridge to transplant, yes, or whether it's your destination. So it doesn't matter. Anyway, it's going to help you to plan something and to look forward to, of course.
Of course, I agree 100%. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Nicole, again, the first guest on the podcast. I'm going to have to send you out a little gift or something. One-on-one gift for being the first guest. And I thank you for joining and sharing your story with the world and sharing all this information, because it's definitely useful to the world. Even people who don't know about it, it's good for them to know about it, because maybe they have a family member who have heart failure and they could talk to their doctors about an Lvad if they are suitable for an Lvad. And so once again, I thank you for even joining and, making this happen. The first episode, there's going to be a lot of episodes. So definitely this is one for the book. So again, I thank you for even joining, thank you for taking the time out to, because of the big time difference, to because I suck at math and time zones and all that stuff. So you helped me out with that a lot, because I was so confused. And so again, thank you.
Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to chat with you today. So that's been a pleasure. Thank you. And I wish you also all the best to you.
Thank you. You too. Just think about it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a time, you know what I'm saying? So just really think about it where you feel comfortable with, and life is what we make it to be. So you could have an Lvad and feel like you got a heart transplant. You could have a heart transplant and still feel like, maybe I should have stuck with an Lvad, so it all depends. So don't let nothing rush you, and just take it one step at a time. You know what I'm saying? Even though I got a heart transplant, I had to go through a lot of sacrifices and main sacrifices that, I definitely would have, if I had the power, I would definitely change a lot of things. But again, thank you. It's been an amazing first podcast. So thank you so much. And, all the best wishes for you. Whenever you want to chat, you have, where to find me. So I'm always here. So
yes.
I don't know if it's nighttime where you're at, but
no, it's not nighttime. It's just evening time. So it's
okay. So enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
And we will definitely, chat about more things, and I will let you know, any updates. So good luck. Thank you.
Good luck to you too. See you soon.
Thank you.